Well, good evening. We now have history in action. Wales are playing their first ever match against the United States in the World Cup. Uh, During the next 2 hours or so, I shall be answering as many questions as I can about Wales, be it just geography, history, or anything whatsoever. If you wish to join, then please do, and of course, share, comment, and like as you always do with these things. And as the evening goes on, I shall be more than happy to answer any of the questions that you have, or indeed any sort of comments in general. I can see we have a question already from Gareth Jones. Am I cheering on Wales? Well, actually, and this missing is a tad controversial, but actually, I'm not cheering on Wales, and there's one very simple reason for that. I'm actually cheering on any nation that will actually stand up and say to Qatar, you shouldn't be hosting this. We've already seen in the last 48 hours just what Qatar have done to get this, and the answer is spend loads and loads of money, some $220 billion of it, to get essentially something they shouldn't have had in the first place. So this is why, if Wales were indeed wearing those One Love armbands, then I would absolutely be cheering on Wales. But as nobody is, I'm of the humble opinion that nobody has deserved my support in any shape or form. That is, of course, just my personal opinion. I mean, other people may have other thoughts. That has prompted another question. What are my thoughts on David Beckham? Now, some background on this. David Beckham, back in 2002, became the first Premier League footballer to appear on the cover of the Attitude magazine, a magazine especially designed for members of the LGBT plus Q plus community, and has been seen since as something of an ambassador for that community. However, he has also been paid a large amount of money to take part in publicity for this World Cup. And the comedian Joe Lycett said on last week that if he had not rescinded that role by yesterday, when the first match was held, he would publicly shred £10,000 as an act of defiance. Now, interesting point. In the United Kingdom, it is not illegal to destroy money. It is illegal to deface it. So, even if he had shredded the money, he wouldn't be charged with anything. Well, as we all know, he didn't. Therefore, Joe Lycett did shred that money. However, today he now announced he didn't shred any money. He said that through clever editing, real money went in, but fake money came out shredded. He'd actually donated the £10,000 to various community organisations. So, was David Beckham right not to respond? Well, that is a question you'd have to ask him more than anything else, because clearly there have been a lot of people who've been saying that Qatar shouldn't be hosting these and this competition, and therefore, well, it's down to him. My person, if I was in that situation, I would say I'm awfully sorry, but I have my reputation to think of. If you are going to tell me that I'm unable to actually stand for what I believe in, then no, I'm actually not going to support you. So there is indeed a valid point. I've now just added a poll. Do you believe Wales will win this match against the United States? And it will carry on until about 10 minutes to go. So feel free to chime in on that regard. Now, this is a very, very pertinent question that's just been asked. Should footballers hide their sexual status, given the likelihood that there is clearly a large number of gay footballers? Well, this is interesting. In the British Premier League, of which there are around 20 football teams, my belief is there are very few, if any, members of the community in that team. Now, let me always check, as I always do with these things, let me check the actual situation as it stands as of today, November the 21st. And the answer is that 6 players have come out as being members of that community over the last number of years. Those 6 being Ashley Peter, who is American, Robbie Rogers, who is also American, Jake Daniels, who was the first professional footballer to come out since Justin Fashanu back in the 1990s. However, whilst there has been no one who's actually declared themselves of that ilk in the Premier League at the moment, Thomas Hilsberger from Germany was a player in the Premier League, but did not declare himself to be out until after he's finished. So, as of this moment in time, there are no English Premier League footballers who have announced themselves as members of that community whilst playing in the Premier League. So, should footballers hide their sexuality status? My humble opinion is, if they wish to do so, then it is entirely down to them. I'm just being informed that the sound quality is a bit poor, so let me just plonk in a headphone and see if that makes any difference. Just give me a moment. As they say in the trade, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Let's just have confirmation it's all working. That's good. Anyway, whilst waiting for the next question, the latest score is currently 0-0 with about 11 minutes played. Right, next question. Where would I like to visit in Wales but haven't actually been there yet? Well, as I haven't actually been to the majority of Wales, like I could visit anywhere from Bangor to Wrexham to Portland, but the one place I would like to visit in Wales, which I have been before, but not for a very long while, is the St Fagans Museum in South Wales, just outside Cardiff. Now, the reason I'd like to go to St Fagans in Cardiff is because there's actually a bit of the area I live in there. Back in the late 18th century, the roads in Wales were, quite frankly, in a terrible state. Some might say there hasn't been much change in the last 200 years, but they were in a literally terrible state. So, as a result, in order to get funding, turnpikes were established. Now, turnpikes were a sort of toll road, and at the start of each section, there'd be a gate where you had to pay your toll depending on what you had. The thing is, though, that the tolls were arranged in such a way that it was very, very expensive to carry things that people had to sell. For example, um, if you were selling pigs or sheep or things like that, you had to pay for that. And as a result, you end up making very little money. Well, these sort of things cause a lot of hackles in the community, and so therefore Rebecca rioters were born. Now these were protesters who went to these toll gates and basically burnt them down, but they did it in a rather unusual manner. They went in drag. Yes, that's right. There were protests in Wales in drag in the early 19th century. And these people were farmers dressed up as women, specifically Rebecca from the Bible, because in the Bible, which they read religiously, it said that Rebecca caused the gates to disappear, the gates being the turnpikes. And so all these toll gates were literally burned down. But there was one that survived from Penparky, just outside Aberdeen. Yes, I'm still here, just waiting for people to ask questions or just comment on things. Okay. Well, it's a question more suited towards the people of the Netherlands more than anything else. But I've now been asked which cheese is made backwards. Well, the reason I say it's a question aimed more towards people of the Netherlands is because the cheeses of the Netherlands are fairly well known, but one of the most famous is Edam. And if you put the word Edam in a mirror, you get Made. So therefore, Edam is literally made backwards, so to speak. Of course, if we're talking about Wales, you could say that there's one cheese in Wales you have to be very, very considerate about, and that's Caerphilly. Well, we're coming up to around a quarter of the way through the match in total. 25 minutes gone or so. It's still United States nil, Wales nil. Of course, don't forget, I'll be taking a break at half time, during which time, of course, you can vote in the poll. Do you think Wales will actually win this match? Someone just says, like at the halftime teaser, I wouldn't have a clue where to start. I know as much about football as it would appear the Qataris know about ordinary competition. I don't even know. I mean, to be honest, I've never played football in my life, and I wouldn't have a clue about half of the terms. I mean, if you tell me that someone has got a full back, I'd say, oh, you mean they've eaten rather a lot? I mean, I wouldn't have a clue. Mind you, I could always recite the lyrics to the official England song back in 2002 when Anton Dex recorded the official on the ball, which suggested a possible team tactic. Let me see if I can find out what that team tactic was. Here we are, yes. Neville to Campbell, Campbell to Rio, Rio to Scholes, Scholesy to Gerrard, Gerrard to Beckham, Beckham to Heskey, Heskey to Owen, and then to Nod. But to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't have a clue what I was talking about. So I think I'd better leave that to the experts if you don't mind. I just had a question from Twitter, which is interesting. It's asking, oh, now this is a very interesting one. This is asking about the song that's gone very viral in Wales. Apologies for the translation. Ama o hyd, which means we are still here. Yes, now this song was first written in the 1970s by the Welsh language activist David Ewan. Now, David Ewan was at one point president of Plaid Cymru being the the second political party of Wales in terms of seats in the Welsh Senate. And their main aim is for there to be an independent Wales at some time in the future, that being the timescale. But Ama o Hyd, which translates as We're Still Here, was a song composed by David Ewan in the 70s that basically says Wales is still here. And the reason why it's become viral of recent weeks is because the Welsh Football Association decided to adopt it as their official song. Now, England haven't done an official song this year, so therefore Wales has sort of taken a leaf out of their book and done that. And from what I can let to believe, it is so sort of well sort of understanding that there are now hundreds of items with this slogan on them, everything from mugs to very large hats, beach hats I would call them, to anywhere and everywhere. That's also the reason why I couldn't have time to talk. I'd run out of not exactly energy, but my mouth would get well dry after about 5 minutes. A question from Facebook this time. Oh dear. Why is it always raining in Wales? Now, come on. Come on. There is this natural assumption that it always rains in Wales. Now, yes, I agree. The Welsh mountains do get a lot of rainfall. But to say it always rains in Wales is like saying it always rains in Manchester. No, it doesn't. I mean, we are currently in one of the driest years Wales has ever experienced. But why does it rain so much? Would be the question. And the answer is where it's positioned. You may have seen in recent days reports of 3 foot of snow over Buffalo in New York. Well, that is caused by lake effect snow when cold air is blown over the Great Lakes, which is slightly warmer than the air around it. So the air rises, and because it rises, it forms clouds, and in the right conditions, it snows. Well, here in Wales, we have the same position. The winds come off the Atlantic. They first of all encounter Ireland, but Ireland is remarkably flat. So they go right over Ireland, and then they come to Wales, where they are forced up the Cambrian Mountains, Snowdonia, sorry, Erie, I should be saying nowadays. And when they get to the top, they just dump rain. And that is the reason why, especially in the west of Wales, you have very high rainfall. For example, in Aberystwyth, not far from where they come from, you can get about 40, 45 inches of rain a year. Welshpool, the other side of Wales, you're likely to get 20 inches of rain a year. Uh, no, no, it's not cider. It's not cider. It's orange squash. Yeah, rather a wet Welsh than a dry English, says someone on YouTube. I think as that has led to a number of discussions about whether a county should be dry or wet on a Sunday, and I'm not really the sort of person who drinks alcohol, I think I'll leave that statement well alone. Thank you. Although that said, I would not say no to referendum on the issue. It's time we had a referendum that everyone can agree on. Another interesting question from Twitter. I think I can guess where this comes from. Is Wales England? Now, clearly the person who's asked this comes from America, and this is where it can get a bit complicated. Now, Wales is a nation part of the United Kingdom, which is made up of four nations: Northern Ireland, otherwise known as Ulster, Scotland, England, and Wales. All four of those nations together form United Kingdom. If you take out Ulster, you're left with the British Isles, and if you take out Scotland, you're left with England and Wales. England is by far the biggest part, but it is only a part of the United Kingdom. That is why in the World Cup we're at the moment, England have a national team and Wales have a national team. Similarly, Scotland has a national team and Northern Ireland also has a national team. So, answer the question, is Wales England? No, Wales is not England. They are two separate political identities in the same political construct. I hope that makes sense. Hello, reply. So London's in Wales then? No. Let's look at London is the capital of both the United Kingdom and England. Okay? Cardiff is the capital of Wales. So London is the capital of the United Kingdom and England. Cardiff is the capital of Wales. I hope that clears this up. Facebook. Well, at least you're not in Ohio. At least you're not in Ohio. Oh yeah. 2008, I rang up during the presidential election and asked the question: did the person who's speaking on behalf of the Obama campaign believe Ohio was absolutely necessary? He said that it was helpful. It wasn't completely necessary. It was helpful, but if they didn't win Ohio, it didn't really matter. And then said, "May I just say that doesn't sound like someone from Southern Ohio." The poor presenter had to say, "I should point out we are receiving calls from the United Kingdom as we are simulcast on BBC Parliament," which slightly complicated matters. Anyway, yes, very valid point on YouTube. Mahuncliffe is indeed the ancient capital of Wales. I should put those. This actually relates quite interesting. Just a question about it. Why is Prince William Prince of Wales when he was Duke of Cambridge? So let's do these things together. Right. First of all, in the 13th century, Wales had its own monarchy. But at the same time, Edward I of England did, in the words of horrible histories, wanted an expansion policy into the backyard, in other words, Wales. So to do this, he built a whole collection of castles all around the coast of Wales. This was to stop Wales asserting their authority. Now, the last person who can truly be called the Prince of Wales was Llewellyn the Great, I think it's around 1350, 1400. So, once he had been defeated, England, under the rule of Edward I, said, I believe I now own Wales. Well, in the early 1400s, one person begged to disagree with this statement, namely Owain Glyndŵr. Now, he said no. Wales is its own unit. It just has its own culture, its own language, its own laws, and he's attempted to codify those laws and sought some very high ranking support in the form of a pen or letter. Hello, we have a bit of breaking news. The United States have just scored a goal. Therefore, with 35 minutes to go on, it is the United States 1, Wales 0. Now, as I say, Owen Glyndŵr attempted to codify the fact that Wales was Wales, and he wrote a letter to the King of France in the village called Pennell, just outside London. Now, that letter said, I want Wales to be its own nation. Would you help support me in that? Well, I believe the King of France was slightly iffy on the subject, and so therefore said he would be looking at the situation. The problem was, however, that Edward I was much more on the ball, and within 4 years, Owen Glyndŵr's schemes had gone up in smoke. The interesting thing is, although his plans went up in smoke, Owen Glyndŵr literally vanished. And there is a legend in Wales saying that if Wales is in a dire threat, he will rise up again to lead the Welsh. And if he did, he would probably do it from Machynlleth, which, as someone on YouTube has said, is indeed the ancient capital of Wales. Yes, I should expect that from Twitter. Twitter comment. Oh dear, you've just become part of the United States. Yes, I know. If we did become part of the United States, probably we'd stop Donald Trump getting elected again, as they say in trade. Oh, anyway. If anyone's just joining, my name is Harry Hayfield. I'm from Wales, and you're more than welcome to ask me any questions about Wales on the occasion of Wales playing the United States in the World Cup match for the first time in 58 years. The current score is United States 1, Wales 0, with 38 minutes played. Interesting question from Facebook. Is Wales predominantly agricultural? Well, it is to a manner of speaking. Now, most people assume that in the United Kingdom that farmers live well, obviously do. But here in Wales, we have a rather interesting situation. We have multiple types of farms depending entirely on where it is. Now, if, for example, you live in the southeast of Wales, you tend to be more sort of wheat farming, for example, barley, rice, that sort of thing. If you live in the northwest of Wales, you are more likely to be a sheep farmer. Northeast, you're more likely to be a dairy farmer, and the southwest, you're more likely to be a sort of combination of sheep and dairy. So it depends entirely on what where. Oh, Gareth Bale, who plays in Spain professionally as a footballer and is the captain of Wales, has just been booked. Now, that for most people in Wales will be deemed rather serious because he is seen as somewhat of an emblem for Wales. So that could be problematic. Anyway, um, oh, question from Twitter. Is it true that Wales rebelled? Yes, Wales has rebelled on more than one occasion, officially and unofficially. Officially, yes, Wales did indeed rebel in 1404, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, but it's also rebelled in other ways. For example, in 1966, it rebelled by electing the first member of Plaid Cymru, a Welsh National Party who believe in Welsh independence, and in that time since, they have elected four MPs from across Wales, uh, Anglesey, or Ynys as it's called here, both of them in the past, Gwynedd, Ceredigion, and Carmarthenshire. And every time a member of their party is elected, they say that is a rebellion against the current situation across the United Kingdom. No, Twitter, there has not been a full scale armed rebellion yet, although I have to admit, the way some people are talking, I believe that might be on the agenda sometime soon. Right, we're about 3 minutes from the break, at which point I will pause and see if I can make people hear what I'm saying. Apparently, there has been a bit of a problem with the audio in the last few bits, but according to the most recent situation, from what I can understand, Wales are 38% to win this game. The United States is 62%, and nobody thinks it's a draw. Slightly over our poll, where everyone who's voted thinks that Wales will win. So maybe it will change after the break. Who can tell? Anyway, so when we get to half time in a few moments' time, I shall take a break to see if I can work out what's going on. If I don't come back, then you'll know the reason is unfortunately I can't figure it out. But if I don't come back, may I just thank you all for taking part in this AMA, as I think it's called. The next match against Wales play will be on Friday, when Wales will play Iran. That will be at 10 o'clock in the morning British time, 5 a.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. 2 a.m. Pacific, and 1 o'clock in the afternoon in Doha. I shall see if there's any interest in doing one for Iran, but I will definitely be around on November the 29th at 7 p.m. British time when the old enemy are. Yes, that's right. You may think that when people talk about the old enemy, they're referring to England and Scotland. Oh no. If there's anything I've learned in the past, it's that an England Wales rugby match has the same sort of England football match is likely to be absolutely of the same ilk. So we'll have to see what happens. We're about 45 seconds from the break, and at the moment it looks as though the United States have a corner and it has been deflected. So it looks as though it's going to finish up 1-0 to the Americans at the break. Right, we've reached 45 minutes. We're just waiting for an announcement to how much time is going to be added on. Four minutes of extra time is going to be added on. So that means they will be having a half-time break at around 7:50 British time, 10:50 in Doha. Just a second of it. 3:50 on the East Coast and 11:50 a.m. on the West Coast. Well, someone on YouTube just said, could do you as an option off the bench. Yeah. Well, as I said earlier, I wouldn't have the first clue what I was doing. Not well. I recently auditioned for a theatrical role and was absolutely horrified to discover that one of the scenes involved a formal Regency era dance. And I explained to the director, I'm sorry, I've got two left feet. He said, oh, that's all right. You just stand there like an idiot. So if I've got two left feet when it comes to dancing, I'd be even less helpful when it comes to football. So I shan't take that as a personal advantage if you want me to, but let's just say if they did have to inquire from the bench, 1-0 would become 10-0 remarkably quickly. Wales have just received their second booking. This time the person who's been booked is number 5, which is Chris Mepham. Let me assure you, YouTube, I do not have the grace of Fred Astaire or anyone. Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly, no, I am anything. I am completely ungraceful in that department. Although that's I should point out, I once actually had to sing a song that Fred Astaire sang, called "I Won't Dance," which was done in the film "In the Clouds," which was the biopic of the American composer Fred Lerner. So I've sung like Fred Astaire, just can't dance like him. Oh, had just a very nice message on Twitter. Thank you very much indeed for answering all these questions. You sound like you know a lot about Wales. Well, I have lived in Wales for the past 40 years, so oh yeah. Yes, going back to that question about the rain. Yes. Yes, I'm sure you are singing in the rain if you're being Welsh, but I call it just a little breaking dampness in the air. Anyway, there it is. There's the halftime break. United States 1, Wales 0. I shall now have a little twiddle of all my fingers to get slightly louder. If I can't, may I thank you all for listening, and I shall probably speak to you again on November the 29th for the England Wales match.